Greetings, friends. Operational situation at the front and news for the 26th of January. Let's start with you from the Lyman direction of Turney, Round Beam, Yar Laptev. So yesterday we analyzed that moment according to the geolinking of drone footage that Russian troops attacked. The APU managed to repel it in an attack. We had it between Yar Laptev and the Round Beam, and further information is being received that not only was it possible to repel this attack, but moreover, to knock out Russian troops from a number of positions. Because the APU approached this issue seriously enough, not only to stop the enemy, but also to start knocking out. So there is information that a number of positions have been lost. The situation remains to be clarified. But in any case, yesterday's attack did not bring any success to the enemy, and moreover, only managed to aggravate the situation during the counterattack by the APU. Therefore, the situation remains on clarifying exactly where the Russian troops were thrown back, from which positions. The situation is being clarified. As for Bologorovka, there is also pressure on the settlement itself, from both the east and the north. We do not record any changes to date, but the enemy does not reduce this pressure, and in the near future, as we said before, will only most likely increase it on Bologorovka itself. There are prerequisites for this. In the Bakhmut direction, briefly, without significant changes, we are waiting for an update of information, but where the Russian troops attacked, all attacks were repelled. Therefore, it was possible, as we see, to achieve some parity in this sector of the front, both in the area of the Kleshayevsky fortified area and in the area of Bogdanovka itself, already in the middle term. Therefore, although Russian troops are making attempts to improve tactical positions, there are periodic battles in a number of areas, but without any significant changes. We turn to the Avdeevka direction. The first is Stepovo. Stepovo-Berdik. Let's start with this section of the front. It means that the Russian troops, we said yesterday, are launching attacks again in the direction of the forest belt, in the direction of Novobakhmutovka, Berdik settlement. So, footage from one of the APU drones was published. They worked on the position of the Russian troops. It was within the gray zone. So the Russian troops retreated to their original positions. Attempts were made, but without success, as in Stepov itself. Yesterday, footage was published of Bradley attacking Russian positions. So we do not record any changes in this sector of the front as a whole, along the northern flank. The southern flank remains the hottest point on the entire front, where the heaviest fighting continues along several streets, and Russian troops periodically shift strikes. The situation remains dynamic, but the APU fighters manage to restrain the enemy, counterattack and discard somewhere. Therefore, the situation remains for further clarification. Plus or minus, visually it looks like this, but there are various kinds of messages. There were also reports that Omega was able to dislodge Russian troops from a number of positions quite serious, but we are keeping this all up for clarification, because we need at least even more official statements and visual confirmations. In any case, we see that there is no further advance of Russian troops as such from this area. Periodically fighting in the gray zone, but without the Russian troops, managed to gain a foothold. All necessary stabilization measures are being taken. According to Pervomaysky, there are no changes. The Kurikovsky direction is also without any changes, as well as the Staromlinovsky and the Zaporozhye section of the front, the Orekhovsky direction. Here, the APU, the defense forces managed to dislodge Russian troops from a number of positions, which means to align the front line along one of the forest belts. As you remember, there were geolinking frames, then we added the advance of Russian troops to the binding, that is, we did not enter one of the forest belts, secured, and subsequently knocked out. Therefore, the APU advanced on a front section, up to 1.6 kilometers wide, to a depth of 450 meters. Russian troops retreated to the neighboring forest belt. Although we remember that the previous days they made attempts to improve their tactical situation. To the north of these positions, to the south of these positions, in the area of the intersections of the Verbovoy itself, but without any changes. A small positive, but still there. In relation to the markets, without significant changes. There was also an attack yesterday, from yesterday to today, but we do not record any changes. Although we managed to make progress in the gray zone. I will show this moment on the map specifically. So, Madyor published footage. 3 armored vehicles were destroyed there. It just came close between the garden partnership. This is not the market itself, but the garden partnership. Between the planting and the garden association, it was possible to destroy the drones in Pevi, so we do not record any changes. The rest of the infantry retreated back to their original positions, so no changes. This is our brief situation.